Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. Deadpool kills the X-Men. Deadpool is dropping this week. Ryan Reynolds explained a little bit about how it fits in the continuity, some of the Easter eggs that you can look forward to in the movie. So here's a quick breakdown. When you go see the movie this week, there's supposed to be over 100 Easter eggs, like a lot, way more than you would expect in a normal movie. Some will be in jokes that they make, some will be visual references, some will be very literal Easter eggs like post-credit scenes, stuff like that. They'll be all over the place. There's many different ways to include Easter eggs in a movie. One of the best ones to look forward to is how Deadpool fits into the X-Men continuity. Ryan Reynolds said that they make fun of the timeline because of all the rebooting that happened with Days of Future Past. It is an X-Men universe movie, but the way Deadpool fits into the X-Men movies is kind of the way Deadpool fits into X-Men comics. It's kind of its own thing, but there is a lot of crossover, there's a lot of referencing going on, so it's a little bit weird. It's not like an Avengers movie where you literally see all the actors on screen talking about things that happen in each other's movies. You're more likely to see Deadpool doing things that he does in the comics, making fun of people for things they did in the past, quippy turns of phrase, making fun of Wolverine origins in the movie, and there is a whole lot of that, so it's going to be awesome. In terms of timeline, you can see all the cars in the movie look way newer than what's going on in the 80s during X-Men Apocalypse. So obviously this movie's happening after that. We see Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead in the X-Mansion. So obviously there's a lot of X-Men stuff going on, but don't expect to see James McAvoy or a lot of the other big X-Men characters. If you saw the Deadpool vs. Wolverine video I posted before the Super Bowl, Ryan Reynolds has been saying he wants to play Deadpool for forever. He said probably the most literal X-Men crossover that he's going to appear in next would be an X-Force movie. Fox is developing an X-Force movie, but it kind of got put on the back burner before X-Men Apocalypse went into development. I think they wanted to fast-track the Bryan Singer films because they know those are going to make a ton of money. So X-Force is still happening, and there's also a New Mutants movie, which is a completely separate thing. They're developing that too. But because they need to get people who don't understand X-Men to go see these movies, I think that they would push X-Force before New Mutants, just because it has X in the title, so you can sell it as an X-Men film, even though it's technically a whole different team, and you'd probably have whole different characters. Wolverine, Psylocke, Deadpool, all been part of X-Force in the comics. X-Force #1, the comic book, is the second best-selling comic of all time. I think it sold like 4 or 5 million copies, but that was right after they introduced Deadpool in the comics in the 90s. So Deadpool became this really awesome character, destroyed Cable and his team in the New Mutants. So when X-Force debuted, everyone went crazy, and they rolled Deadpool into that comic a lot faster than they intended to originally. Originally, Deadpool was just kind of floating around like, oh, this is cool character, but Cable was really the main attraction. But when Deadpool blew up, they're like, okay, let's get him in there faster. So Deadpool in X-Force for a long, long time. So regardless of what the X-Force movie does, I would expect to see Cable and Deadpool appear in that. Cable would probably be the main character in that film if Deadpool wasn't, but they'd probably do the X-Men Apocalypse, X-Men Days of Future Past thing, where even though you have tons of big X-Men characters, huge actors, really Wolverine is the main character of that film. Days of Future Past is unofficially a Wolverine film. Even though it's an ensemble film, it's really a Wolverine film. So X-Force is probably going to do the same thing, where you have Cable and Deadpool. Deadpool blowing up, going to make a ton of money, so of course he's going to be really big in whatever film he shows up in. There is no date on that X-Force film, but I think depending on how Deadpool does and what they want to do for the Deadpool sequel, they might fast-track it. Now, I should say X-Force and the Deadpool sequel will probably be two different films. Like, they'll want the Deadpool franchise to be its own thing. They know it's a solid performer, people will totally roll out for it. X-Force can be its own thing too, so if it doesn't do well, they don't have to do another one, but if it does do well, they can turn it into its own franchise. Everybody wants their own franchise. Like when you look at the Avengers films, the Avengers is a franchise by itself, but each of the characters has their own franchise too. Captain America is his own franchise. I would argue that the Captain America franchise is actually better than the Avengers franchise, even though the Avengers is a really awesome idea. But the other really cool thing that I wanted to tease about the Deadpool movie is that there is a naked fight scene. Make all the swinging swords, crossing swords jokes that you want to. But it's he and Ajax. I'm assuming this naked fight happens sometime when he blows up the Weapon X program, or whatever it is they're calling the Weapon X program in this movie. Technically, Dr. Kilbrew's lab in the comics is an offshoot from Weapon X, an even shadier version of Weapon X, if that's even possible. So just looking at the X-Men Apocalypse Super Bowl trailer they posted this weekend with Psylocke going crazy with her Psyblade, do you want to see Psylocke in Deadpool in the X-Force movie with Cable? And do you want that to be its own thing, or do you want that to be the Deadpool sequel? I'm going to go ahead and assume that most of you want a Deadpool sequel and X-Force. More is always better. But if Ryan Reynolds is going to be Deadpool for forever, like if he's going to be old man Deadpool in 10 years, and they want to reboot the X-Men franchise, I want to see Deadpool kills the X-Men. I feel like that would be a good third Deadpool movie. You don't want to do it right away because they just rebooted the X-Men universe and they're spinning out these new characters. They might do a Dark Phoenix saga, but Deadpool kills the X-Men would be a perfect movie somewhere in the middle of that new Dark Phoenix trilogy. And when I say Dark Phoenix trilogy, I have no idea how many Dark Phoenix movies they're going to do. I'm just saying that they could spin it out into a new trilogy. Hollywood is very comfortable with the idea of trilogies. The newest thing in the last 5 or 6 years is they turned the third movie into 2 movies, so you get 4 movies out of 3. It's a total money grab, but it allows you to do a bigger final movie, so whatever. But let me know, do you want them to actually do Deadpool kills the X-Men at a certain point? Obviously, he wouldn't kill all the X-Men, just the ones that do not renew their contracts. Think of Avengers Infinity War doing the same thing with the Marvel characters. Actors are reaching the end of their contracts, so naturally you have this big war and you kill off the ones that don't want to keep doing Marvel movies, then you replace them with new characters like Captain Marvel, Black Panther, all the new characters they just introduced. You get the idea. But tonight, crazy shit is happening on The Flash. Seriously, I already feel like it's going to be my favorite 2-part episode this year. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. I'll be doing a reverse Flash ring giveaway, and there will be more Marvel movie videos this week. So while you guys wait for all that stuff to post, you can click here for all my Super Bowl trailer videos, and you can click here for all my Deadpool videos. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.